Hey, y'all. Okay, I'm being called to go live. And I'm just going to say that this takes a lot of balls. And I'm going to give myself that respect. After posting what I posted earlier, which has deep truth to it, which is meant to be healing and to set people free, I have been consistently attacked in my heart chakra, in my throat chakra, in my third eye, and then I was falsely accused of being abusive. So I'm not going to take that lying down, and I'm going to make a teaching example out of this. I wrote in my stories, but I do really want you to see me and know that those of us who have been doing the healing work as men, we're going to stand up for ourselves. It's because we've been integrating healing of our feminine. And that scares a lot of women who have not healed their own feminine, who hate themselves. I'm not going to hate myself because someone else hates themselves. That is not divine masculine action. And I will not take those projections. So I'm going to give some examples. And first of all, I'm going to say I happen to be friends with many women throughout my life. I had a great relationship with my mom growing up. She has a very strong masculine and a very strong feminine, and she's comfortable in herself. And she taught me to stand up to these women who try to falsely accuse me. Of course, as men, we have to be smart about that because women know very well in that position that they can try to legally leverage themselves against those of us who are innocent. So I'm putting that out there. I also have family who are in that arena, so they know a lot of that information. And I choose to not go there because I know my strength. And I know others' capabilities too. And so I will use my throat as I speak about this. I have many female colleagues and friends that I honor and respect. I always have. I'm friends with more women than men because a lot of men get scared off by me being verbal, which I'm working on in Return to Self-Masculine Healing. And I want to speak to that here as well. I've talked about that on my Masculine Healing page too, but I'm going to speak about how mothers abuse their boys. Ready for this? If you're not, you better leave. Better get off my page if you don't want to receive healing, because that's what this is for. I'm not here to bullshit you. I'm not here to just make money off of you and market a fake account. I'm not here to be one of those wounded men just to charm you, to make you feel good and a false sense of security. I'm here about the real security. I'm here about the real empowerment. I'm here to really, really lift you up with truth. Because I've had to do my own digging in my life to lift myself out from near-death experiences multiple times, from being falsely accused many times in my life. And I will not tolerate it. I am going to use my voice. And I have a Leo and Lilith in the third house, square my sun, Pluto, and Scorpio, with a Gemini rising, so you better believe I know what I'm talking about. And I speak direct truth, and it scares the shit out of some of you, and you do not need to be here. And you will not falsely accuse me. You will not come at me with your bullshit. You will leave this page. I have worked with many clients recently, because I have mostly female clients, who are coming empowered as fuck, ready to take on their own. You know what I tell them? Because I recognize them coming into their own strength. I say, let's talk about you taking on your own masculine. Let's talk about you taking your own divine action. Why? Because I, as an empowered man who's chosen to empower myself, I am not afraid of true female empowerment. I'm also not afraid to call out the false female empowerment that falsely accuses men of being abusive, because you want to use the legal system to hide behind your own insecurities. And I'm not afraid to point at that camera and point out the truth. This is the revealing. This is the apocalypse. No one can hide. And because I don't have anything to hide, I am speaking directly to the camera. Oh yeah, it's scary, isn't it? This is what vulnerability looks like. This is what honesty looks like. This is what an empowered man looks like. And it scares you because it requires that you become empowered as well. It is not my problem that you choose to be disempowered. You are sovereign. See? I see you as a free being. So, a couple weeks ago, I heard a man speak on this. And, no. See, I want to speak on this because I've been falsely accused of this stuff for trying to be a good man since I first became an adult. Okay? I'm going to speak on it. And I do know that, but I'm going to speak on it because men don't speak on it. Because we do have a pride complex about it. And because we know that if we dare use any of the same words, then we'll get in trouble. So I don't use those words because I'm smart. And because I don't need to throw around legal words to make a point. So I'm going to use this point instead. There's many men who do not speak up because they did have abusive mothers. Now, my dad was the toxic feminine, okay? He was the wounded feminine, and my mom was taking on the masculine role. And she's done fucking amazing healing, and I am so proud for my mom. And she has inspired me to heal my own masculine. How about that? I love her very much. And she also has many, many guardians around her. So if you try in anger to come for that, for her, you're in trouble, just so you know. You best not. You're talking about someone with a Taurus rising and 5 planets in Sagittarius and an Aries moon. Mars and Virgo, you don't fuck with that. She's to be respected. You hear me? Good. All right. So an example that I heard about a couple weeks ago, I was in a group and this man was speaking. And he was talking about the importance of bringing your emotions to God. Bringing, a man speaking about this, I was crying afterwards because I've been waiting for older men my entire life to actually say that that's important. And he did. He did a whole message about this. And with a bunch of people in the room, he stops in the middle of the sermon and he goes, if you're being mistreated at home, it's okay for you to say something. And he just stood there, straightforward, and stared out into the audience. And you could see every one of the abusers flinch. It was amazing. I'm sure this man has bodyguards. But he closes his talk by mentioning that a couple weeks prior, he was at a group gathering. And a friend that he's had, or a colleague friend that he's had around for a while, they're in their 40s. This guy says, hey, can I talk to you? And he says, yeah, but you got to get on he's like, of course, you have to get on a flight in 5 hours. So what do you want to talk about? I want to make sure you're okay. He's like, well, I don't care about that. I need to talk about this. So his male friend in his 40s proceeds to tell him how when he was 5 years old, his parents got in a huge fight in front of him, and his mom would beat his dad, would punch him, head to toe, beat up on him. And the dad didn't do anything. He did not stand up for himself. See my point already? And that boy was that night forced to choose who he was going to live with. Well, in a situation where it's an abuser and a codependent, you go with the abuser. And because it was a boy and his mom, if boys are not assured that their mom is someone safe, then they really have to undo a lot of damage for the rest of their lives because of the biological, it's a real thing. Biology, people, it's a real thing. Because of the biological connection to the womb, of being separated from the womb, of not having their own womb, okay? So anyway, he chose to live with his mom. And then, so his friend says, I'm so sorry that you went through that, right? And he's basically saying he was already, like, how can I help you? How can I support you? Because this guy said, well, yeah, I never told anyone this. And he said, but I also never told anyone this next part. I want you to listen to this, and I want you to feel this in your body. This is called feminine embodiment practice, okay? Because I don't think men never speak up on this, so you never hear it. All right. I can still viscerally feel like what it was like to hear him say this. So this boy, who at 5 years old was forced to live with his mom, who was abusive, towards his dad, and this guy then said, yeah, actually she would beat me too. But I couldn't say anything because she was my mom and no one would believe me. No one would believe me as a little boy that my mom beat me. You know that that's true. Again, I'm going to make it very clear that my mom never touched me. She never abused me. My mom is a great mom. So I'm not speaking at this from a wounded space, but I'm speaking on behalf of other men who are too scared to stand up for themselves because of all the women that have abused them in their lives. Namely, their mothers, the fundamental example of the feminine. And yes, we're going to make this a space right now only to talk about mothers abusing boys because it's not talked about. I couldn't believe that this was spoken about in front of a bunch of people. I went for a drive and just cried for like 2 hours because I felt the heart release of so many people. Anyway, the next part he said, this is a real trigger warning here, I'm letting you know, is that the mother would come up to make sure that her boy brushed his teeth before bed. If he did not brush his teeth to her liking, she had a butcher knife in her hand. And she would cut open his mouth to make sure that he brushed his teeth properly. It took this man 43 years to tell his best friend. Men are ashamed of admitting that they are abused by women. And by their mothers. It happens. But because the legal system tends to, I know not everywhere it does, but tends to favor the mother's side, the boy does not have an opportunity. And imagine a boy who came from his own mother's womb, having his mouth cut open with a butcher knife, being unable to speak. What does that do to that guy if he doesn't work the rest of his life to heal it? What does that do to his relationship with intimacy? Exactly, stories of Christy. Yep. Although I'm going to make sure that I don't use victim language because I know that people are watching waiting to spring that on me, and I'm real smart about it. A lot of women think that men are really stupid, and it scares a lot of you how smart I am. So I'm going to use that smartness and scare those of you who think I'm stupid off, all right? I'm not going to use victim language, and I'm going to say that men choose to not go through the excruciating process to heal that. Men choose to not go through the process of healing. So they become abusers as adults. Many men, yes, are sexually abused by their uncles and fathers and brothers. But there are many, many boys who are abused by their mothers and sisters, especially in this day and age with what we're calling feminism. What happened earlier? Someone said, with all due respect, something that I didn't say because I didn't even say it, which is why I spoke up for it. I didn't even say anything remotely close to that. That is abusive. No, I'm going to stand up for myself. I did not say that. Anyone who editorializes my words based on their own triggers that they refuse to deal with, I'm not going to say the word, but you know what I'm thinking. You can fill in the blank because it's true. And a lot of women out there expect men to be silent. A lot of women want to bully men into silence because you're being taught that that is empowerment. And I'm here to tell you, truly with all due respect, that is your disempowerment and that is your enslavement. And you are sovereign. You can remain a slave, but you will not hook me to your chains. I know there's a lot of empowered men standing up lately, and it's scaring the shit out of a lot of women who choose to remain enslaved to their own insecurities and fears. And because it has not been talked about, those women who choose to be victims like that become villains. That is villainous behavior. That is evil. It is evil. It is true evil. Because it is to live in the lie, okay? It is to live the lie that you cannot empower yourself. And when you see empowered men in our own empowered feminine show up and stand up for our own inner empowered feminine, it hurts, right? It hurts that wound within yourself. That is not my problem for empowering my own inner feminine. We are each sovereign beings. And that is true, we are divinely sovereign. And because I choose to stand in that truth and open my throat chakra up to speak it, and no, you will not close it up, you see my protection all around me. Because I'm speaking righteousness and I'm speaking truth. And we are not putting up with it anymore. I haven't put up with it for a while, but I know how many people are on this page. And I want to make sure that absolutely every single person hears it. I respect and love myself, and I've worked my entire life to do so. I spent thousands of dollars on my own counseling sessions and therapy when I was in my teens and 20s. I have been doing my own return to self-healing work. I am a fellow human just like you. And what I am expressing right now is unconditional love. You think it is conditional because you're putting conditions on what love means to you. Love means getting what you want. That's a condition. Love means hearing comfortable lies. That's a condition. Love means being able to accuse a man who seeks to be righteous of what you hate in yourself. Accusing him of what you hate in yourself. That is conditional. And that is not love. And that is not respect. It's definitely not due respect. Due respect to me. I don't need to explain it. That's respect for myself. I don't need to explain what due respect means. You either show it or you don't. Your undealt with triggers and your hatred for yourself, I'm going to specifically speak to because it is 99.98% of the time in my life, these wounded feminines that come in, obsessing over me, stalking me on my pages, probably secretly falling in love with me, and then trying to threaten me when they don't get what they want. I do not deserve that. It is a demonic possession. It is an AI program, and they are being run by it. Because I know that true women in their empowerment would be able to meet me and hear me say this and say, you're damn right. Because they would speak up for themselves in the same way. And they do speak up for themselves in the same way. Again, I have many female friends and colleagues that can attest to that. But I don't need to speak for them. Earlier, I did post in a story a friend and colleague who was already talking about it with me, and that I posted that earlier. So this is what empowered feminine looks like in an empowered masculine. This is what the union looks like. It's not someone outside of yourself. And you're not going to try to attach cords to me just because I was just cleared, because you know that's what you're trying to do. Came right from my heart chakra earlier after I posted what is dead on true. And Jesus fights for me, I can tell you that. And those of you who try to come against me, you know that. The power of heaven fights for me because I choose to unite with my divinity. And I am taking divine masculine action by doing this. And you can expect a lot more men to show up who have chosen to do this healing on ourselves, who are still working on healing. So yes, I am proclaiming to you right now that about every 2 months, a woman in disempowerment comes in, gets obsessed with me, and tries to attack me. About every 2 months of my life for choosing to be in this empowered state. And my mistake before was not saying anything. That was my grave mistake. That's why it still goes on, because they think that I'm going to be silent. Because they think that it's okay to do that. Because they saw their mom do that to their dad. Manipulate him. Watch him get addicted to his alcohol, to his food, to his pills. As long as she could control him. Well, guess what? My mom didn't do that to my dad. I have a really healthy example of a mom. So I know what that empowered feminine looks like in a woman. And I have many female friends who represent that empowerment. And I can tell you right now, as much as us empowered, self-empowered men are attacked, self-empowered women are attacked even more. And I will also speak here, not on their behalf, because they can speak for themselves. Notice how I am respecting women. And notice how I embody that. Because I know that they can speak for themselves. But I can say that by seeing what they go through for standing up for themselves and choosing to take their own action and do their own healing, and the amount of these wounded women that come in and try to destroy them, it's outrageous. This is what we call the Antichrist system. Each of us have Christ and Antichrist within us. Antichrist is separation from self. Christ is reconnection, return to self. What do you think my work is all about? Who's the head person I work with? Head being. Yeshua. And you know that. And you know that this is his power speaking through. And that's exactly why they killed him. But guess what? He's resurrected. And that resurrection power is within me and anyone who chooses to believe it. And chooses to remember who they are. And return to source. And nothing can stop that power from resurrecting. Nothing. Once you embrace it within you, you can try to run as far away as you can in your life. The amount of times I tried to shame myself. I lived in a feminine mask earlier on in my life because I was so tired of these wounded women coming after me. I thought, I'll just be nice and be in a feminine mask. And that was self-abuse. That I abused myself for years. Put on tons of fat, drank a bunch of beer. I got allergic to it because that's how that goes. I can't really get away with addictions for very long because that's my path, which is hilarious to me. But, I couldn't get away with that shit. My life would fall apart. That's because I'm guided. And I am guided and loved. And so are you. So are each one of you. Equally in your own way. I will not hear no as an answer to that. That is a lie that you are believing if you believe that you are somehow not worthy of divine love and reconnection to the Creator. And that is why I speak this power and this truth and this righteous indignation and anger that people will come on and try to falsely accuse me for stepping into that power and truth because you are acting on behalf of the evil of this world. And I will not take that lying down. I will stand up for myself, and I will speak on empowerment of the feminine, of the true feminine within, that stands up for herself, that is willing to fight the battle, that is willing to go out and slay the demons on the battlefield. You feel this resonance, and if it scares you, you need to go heal. Because you can get into this place too. Fellow men who are listening, I know there's more men out there, especially fellow alphas, who have been falsely accused so many times in your life. Stand up for yourselves. Come on. She cannot hurt you anymore. And that demon will send in as many threats as possible. Again, I get them literally every 2 months. Like fucking clockwork. But I will not be brought down. I will not be intimidated. And I will stand in my power and truth continuously. Because I choose to. And I choose to respect and love myself. And I choose to respect and love others the way that I have been taught to respect and love myself. By my own mom. How's that? May that trigger the ever-living fuck out of your demons. And know that that is yours to heal. Every client I've worked with